on Wednesday, August 79th.
You skipped a couple days.
August 79th. It's
Sure.
episode 260 of the 359, and I'm already tagged out for the day. Good morning, Roger Cheng and Ben Fox Rubin. What's up, everybody?
Hey. Morning. All right, we're going to be talking about Apple all day.
No.
All day Apple.
It's a shocker, right?
We avoided it as long as we could.
Yeah, but you know what? Apple reported earnings last night. Pretty surprising and interesting stuff that came out of earnings, so we're going to talk about that.
Was it, though?
It was.
It was kind of. I like the Apple Watch stuff. We'll
The
talk
numbers
about that.
themselves were not as interesting. I think a lot of people are taking more into the revenue forecast and what that means for iPhone 8.
Fair enough.
So we'll break all that down for you. As usual, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Brian will pick up the best, and we'll get to them in 3 minutes and 59 seconds.
From 3, 2...
Welcome to the 359. I'm Roger Cheng.
I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
Apple posted earnings last night and may drop some hints about the next iPhone. It offered a pretty rosy revenue forecast for the current quarter, which suggests that at least some new iPhone will come out by September. Obviously, there have been a lot of rumors that the big iPhone 8 will be delayed until later October or even later in the year. But the forecast seems to suggest that Apple is on track. Just by the way, like the stock is at an all-time high because of this. So, Ben, what do you think? Are you excited? Are you pumped for iPhone 8 or iPhone 7s or whatever they're going to call it?
I mean, I definitely want to see what it looks like. The rumor mill has been going crazy for like the past year, so obviously we want to finally see what this is supposed to look like.
Yep.
But typically, Apple rumors tend to be right a lot of the time. So the assumption that this was going to be delayed, I thought they were right about it. I thought that this was probably going to push out a little bit further. So
yeah, no, I talked to investors, I talked to analysts, and everyone sort of assumes there's going to be some sort of delay. The sort of compromise is that we might get an iPhone 7s and 7s Plus, sort of a slight upgrade in September, and then an iPhone 8, the wholly radically redesigned iPhone 8 will come later in the year because of supply constraints.
That doesn't mean two different events, right? They're going to announce both of them.
I think they'll
at
announce
the same event.
they'll announce both, and they'll say the 7s and 7s Plus are available for pre-order in a week or two. iPhone 8 is going to come out in October. It'll be they'll mumble it away, like, oh yeah, it's coming later this year.
And the iPhone 8 is expected to be the high spec OLED,
that's
over
like
$1,000.
The $1,000 iPhone, AMOLED display, all the bells and whistles you can imagine. The removal of the bezel, the full redesign, that could come in October.
I have to say that anybody that's willing to pay that much is willing to wait until October. That's not that much later. You're going to wait a couple more weeks. If it's later than that, then, you're starting to upset people. But even then, you're not, people are still going to buy it.
Well, that's the thing. That's why there's some debate now about what this forecast really means, because that revenue forecast was higher than a year ago and much higher than this past quarter, which suggests they expect pretty robust sales.
Super cycle, as it were.
Not necessarily a super cycle yet, but they expect, healthy sales, and you're not going to get that if you're not going to have that iPhone 8. So there's some debate about whether or not that radically redesigned phone will actually show up on time.
Okay, so I know the iPhone is the big deal for Apple all the time, but let's get to some of the other devices.
Yeah.
The iPad had actually improved for the first time in 13 quarters.
It was 13 consecutive quarters of declines, and this is the first one that actually went up year over year.
So is this like a dead cat bounce where it's
don't
finally hit rock bottom, or people actually buying iPads again?
Well, Tim Cook talked a lot about the education market. I imagine that they've been successful in getting iPads into schools and businesses. They cut the price on their base iPad. I think that helped a lot. They introduced a new iPad Pro, the 10.5 inch.
Yeah.
Like the kind of the middle ground iPad Pro. Which I don't know if that actually helped. I don't know anyone who owns. Actually, I know 2 people who own an iPad Pro who actually paid for one.
Sure.
I don't actually know if they're doing well, but it seems like on the budget side of things, the iPad's doing well.
Right. And on the other thing that I wanted to mention was the Apple Watch.
Yeah.
Which they clued us in, and they said that's 50% increase in sales. This is very positive for a device that have not been the nicest to on this podcast, saying that it's not, it's the best smartwatch out there, which doesn't mean a whole lot.
Well, yeah, and they talked a lot about how, from a market share perspective, they are far and away the leader, but there's also no real clear picture as to what the market looks like. So, there aren't that many concrete numbers, right? We still don't have a good indication because they bundle the Apple Watch under other products, which include AirPod sales, which include accessories and Beats headphones. So it's really unclear exactly how well that Apple Watch is doing. But the growth you mentioned, that's pretty impressive either way.
All right, so they have a ridiculous amount of money. Way to go, Apple.
Yes, and their stock's at an all-time high. So if you're an investor, good for you.
I'm not.
I am not either.
I am
Just
not.
full disclosure. But yeah, look, going back to the iPhone numbers, it was up a little bit, and it was, they sold about 41 million units, and for basically any other company, they would kill for that. This is a ho-hum quarter. We were just talking about how this is their sleepy, boring quarter before the new iPhone comes out.
Exactly. Like they're just clearing out the inventory. And
Yeah.
They still sold 41 million units.
It's kind of amazing, right? And I do have to wonder, like, folks who are buying their phones now, like, are you not thinking about just a few weeks from now where the new iPhone comes out?
Yeah,
You just
and
gotta
the
have your
price for
iPhone.
the current one goes down by about $100.
Exactly. Like, even if you don't want the newest and greatest, that next iPhone or this current iPhone will probably get a little bit cheaper.
I think 41 million people accidentally dropped their iPhones in the toilet.
And then, like, need to rush out and get a new iPhone.
That's what happened.
That is highly plausible. All right, we should wrap it up. For these stories or more, check us out on CNET. I'm Roger Cheng.
I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
Thanks for listening.
Boop, 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 boop.
Well, that was way over
Thanks.
4 minutes. 3 minutes. And 50
When was the
We don't
last
have a timer.
time? When was the last time we did 4 minutes? That's
know.
a legitimate question I want to ask the audience. When was the last time?
They
we
probably
were
track this more than we do.
4 minutes accurate. All right. So what do we think is going to happen? We're going to get a delayed event this year. That's kind of.
Well, no, I think the event might be around the same time. I think the actual launch might be a little delayed. I think it'll come out at the end of September. I think there will be some serious supply constraints. I think it's going to be really tough to get one, especially the iPhone 8. Whenever that comes out, that's going to be...
That's what they're calling it?
I don't
That's
know.
what you've been hearing? The 7S and the 7S
Yes,
Plus?
I've
and
been
then the
hearing... there are a lot of rumors about this, that there are two versions. There's going to be like the minor upgrade. That's like the S upgrade, and then the bigger iPhone 8
It makes
anniversary
sense.
edition.
As opposed to like naming them all three the iPhone 8 or naming all three
Right.
the iPhone
I mean,
X.
the kind of Steve Jobs fanboy in me is kind of annoyed by that because he was big on like the idea of like one phone, and now we're to like 6 or 7 different iPhones. If you count the SE and
It's
the
true.
different models, like different variants, we're just like in this crazy number of different options.
However,
Yeah.
look at Samsung.
Yeah.
You know, like they come out with like a different phone every 5 seconds.
Well,
So
but Samsung, it's different though because they come out with phones for different categories, right? Like there are super cheap phones or mid-tier phones. Like Apple's technically supposed to be like the one high-end phone for you, except now there's like 7 options.
yeah.
Speaking of Samsung, I like this comment from Zombie C. Enjoy your
I love the name.
Samsung displays. Sheeple, welcome to 2012, Apple.
That's true. The OLED, yeah,
apply cold
it's
water.
true. The OLED display has been around for a long, long time. Apple's finally gotten around to slapping it in. We're so excited.
But we're still gonna.
We're
have
totally
to pay
excited.
through the nose for it.
Oh yeah, you
I
want
don't-
that AMOLED display? It already is in the Galaxy S8, but you
For
pay
$725.
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna have to pay a lot more money to get it on the iPhone 8, which I know for like the fanboys, like fanboys and fangirls, like they're all gonna go for that phone, and that's probably gonna be the one that like everybody is gonna
I'm
focus
gonna go for
on.
that phone.
I mean,
course.
they work just fine. I always say like Apple's innovations, so to speak, appeal to someone like my mother who wants it simple and taken care of for her. It does the heavy lifting for her kind of situation. Hell, I appreciate that myself to a certain extent.
Right.
I'm lazy.
And there's less
I'm
customization.
real lazy, guys.
We all know this.
Yeah, I know. I know.
So you got to wonder though why Apple doesn't embrace stuff like right now. Danny Green and DEF CON
Danny!
are having a bit of a chat about removable storage in on our YouTube channel, and it's just like,
Typical.
how hard would it be for Apple to appease its audience once in a while instead of like trying to lead the pack? And by lead the pack, I mean like recycle things that aren't bad ideas, but they're not new ideas either.
No, I think that discussion gets recycled every single year.
Yeah.
As far as removable storage, unfortunately, Samsung with its flagship phone this year, it went in the other direction.
Yeah.
Whereas in previous years, you could do removable storage. I think Apple, they just are able to upsell you on higher storage.
Yep.
It's like too big of a market for them. They charge you an extra $100 for something that costs them like, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7. So they don't want to provide you with removable storage.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, it's their way of getting you to pay up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they've got some crazy margins on that memory because it's not like the memory is that expensive. It's
Right.
not $100 more for 64 gigs.
No, why would it be? I think I
It
just
is
bought
if
like
you're on
a
Apple.
yeah. So we didn't get to this like HomePod thing too. So apparently there was
Yes.
like some software that came out related to the HomePod. There was like a new form factor. This was
Basically,
for the
an image of the design or the icon of the new iPhone was found
Like
in
the
like
silhouette.
the code. The silhouette, right, was
Yeah.
found in the code for some software that would go into HomePod, and it has kind of an outline
Mhm.
of this sort of all-screen look, right?
yeah.
And it's pretty much in line with what we've seen. I think it's kind of interesting that it basically looks like the same design as the Essential phone.
Oh really?
Yeah, if you think about it, it's like all screen, and at the top there's kind of like a little lip for the camera, for the front-facing camera,
Right.
and that's essentially what the Essential phone looks like.
I would be very curious to see if they do go that route, which we've been expecting them to, where like the fingerprint sensor ends up, because we know what happened with the S8.
Right.
So
I mean,
is Apple
right
going to get
now,
it right this year?
all
I don't know.
indications say that they're going to get it in the front, underneath the glass.
Hmm.
I mean, if they do, that's definitely a one-up. Speaking of innovation, like that would be innovating because no one else has figured it out, right? Like,
yeah, and I haven't been hearing any rumors at all as far as like
There-
the Note 8.
there
ending up
was
with that.
I forget which, I think it was Oppo. One of the Chinese phone makers held an event
Mhm.
to talk about how they were gonna put it in their phone, but the phone doesn't come out till like middle of next year. So they
Okay.
kind of like tease it, like we're the first. We've got this fingerprint
We're
sensor in the
first to
glass.
mention we're
Oh,
doing
by the
it.
way, the phone's not available for like another year. So
Still first.
still first.
It's
Yeah.
about as relevant as being first in the comments.
Exactly.
Ouch. Okay, it's true though.
Hey, VJ wants to know if there's any Apple Watch 3 updates.
No updates from the conference call. I mean, Tim Cook was asked a lot about new products. He wouldn't comment on any of the upcoming products. I think it would be a good, safe bet to think that there will be a new Apple Watch maybe
Sooner
this
or
year.
later.
Sooner or later, like this year.
Yeah,
You
but
think
like
they'd
they're
put
kinda
that
due for a
along?
refresh.
You think they'd put that alongside the big iPhone unveil though? That seems like it'd be severely in the shadow.
I don't know. Maybe they'll hold a separate October event.
they do that
Oh.
sometimes.
They do that.
Oh, that means we got 2 late nights coming up.
We have plenty of late nights coming up. We got the Note 8 coming up, man.
Yeah,
That's just
but
a few
that's
weeks
true.
from
Do
now.
you think if they did release the Apple Watch 3, would it look any different than the other two?
I don't
Because that
know.
was the thing. The Apple Watch 2, like the
I gotta
visually
say,
didn't look any different.
I really hope they make a round watch because
Mhm.
I'm digging the round watches.
It looks like you are.
I know I'm rocking one of these, the Gear S3, and it's a little too big for me, but it's still nice.
Yeah.
I was sitting in a room actually in Google's offices yesterday, surrounded by new Android Wear watches, and they're all circular. They're all fashion brands. They all look really nice.
And they don't have like the chin thing on them. I remember there were like some
Hello.
Google watches
The-
that had those.
Oh yeah, no chin,
yeah.
no chin. They figured out how to remove the chin.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Good question from Danny Green. So
Hey,
if
Danny.
Apple does the Face ID, can you set more than one person? I have my Touch ID set so that my wife and son can access my iPhone in case something happens to me. That's a really good thought. I wonder.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine yes. Like it's just a matter of storing the profile.
You would
right?
think it'd have to mimic the functionality of Touch ID
Yeah.
without necessarily using the
Yeah,
finger.
I mean, knowing Apple, they kind of get some of those little touches down. Usually, they're pretty good about those details. So,
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine something like different users or different faces.
Because can't PlayStation do that already?
I don't know. I don't have
Not
I have
sure
to check
about
with
that.
Ackerman again. I thought I remembered him showing me something about facial recognition in PlayStation.
That Microsoft
If anybody
did
can
that,
tell me
right?
in the chat, I'd like to hear about it.
Apple
Doesn't the
will-
Xbox do that?
Does it?
I feel like with connected.
I don't know. I'm
it's-
still running a 360.
So Apple will also benefit from Samsung's release of the S8 previously because like they had facial recognition in that phone, and
Right.
then everybody like there were a lot of like tests on it that you could just put up like a picture or something.
yeah.
So Apple is
Although
going to try to figure out.
there's some debate about that because I think we tried during our run through of the essay. I think we tried a picture and it didn't work, but I think that was during the initial demo stage. I don't know if like that's what the final software looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was definitely some questions about how secure facial recognition was. I think Samsung made the argument that it's more about convenience than security. Like if you
Right.
really want security, you want to lock it down with something else.
Like the iris scan,
Iris
or touch
scanner,
ID,
yeah.
or whatever,
Or fingerprint
fingerprint
sen-
sensor.
yeah.
So let's fill in. DEFCON 1 says that he came in late and he
Yeah.
wants to know what the updates on Touch ID are. And all I'm going to say is,
We don't know yet.
We don't know. We don't know anything.
the writing's on the wall.
I don't. We'll see. Like,
We're not supposed to speculate, but
what we do.
That's this whole show. They're gonna
Irresponsible speculation.
They're going to rename the iPhone. The Apple phone, or the, I don't know. I'm out of ideas.
I feel like if Tim
beyond
Cook
that.
had his way,
App phone?
it would be
App
the Apple
phone.
phone.
App phone.
Apple
is-
phone.
Apple phone.
Apple phone.
Hey,
Send
shout
in-
out. Thanks to Quincy Williams. Yes, PlayStation has face recognition.
Oh,
Thank
there you go.
I
Thanks,
am-
Quincy.
I'm behind the times with my video gaming. I'm sorry.
No.
Hey, same here. Well, I have an Xbox One that just collects dust, so
Mm.
it's pretty awesome.
Joseph wants to know where's Brian Tong.
Brian's not part of this show,
He's
people.
never on the show.
There are other podcasts at CNET now.
There are.
We're trying.
I mean, he
Trying.
may be in
We should
New
have him on
York.
sometime. When he's you know
At
what?
some point.
When he's here for the Samsung event, we should
Oh
have him
yeah,
on the show.
yeah, totally. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Anybody want to see Brian Tong?
yeah, no,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Sure.
I saw him out in Comic Con. It's kind of cool.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Hung out with him.
How's he doing?
Good.
How's the family? It's
Great.
all right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
he just got back from a family vacation. He was looking rested,
Hawaii.
tanned. Yeah, nice.
Jerk.
Wow, dude, I'm going to Hawaii next year, dude. I hope you don't treat me that way when I get back.
Double
We
jerk.
will.
Double jerk.
We will.
Oh man, we just about got to wrap it up here.
Yeah.
One more question from Elite Brian Gaming: is the HomePod worth it? We're still. I mean,
We don't know.
Yeah.
we don't have
Comes
it
out
We
yet.
don't
in
have one yet.
December,
Yeah, it's like
right?
later this year. They showed off a really early version during WWDC. So, you know, we will definitely get back to
Review
you.
it a lot.
Yeah, we will review the crap out of it. And
We're excited to see it. Like,
yeah.
The smart
definitely.
home stuff is always kind of a fun experiment because it can also be very unpredictable, and it can also go just get screwy enough where it's like, oh, this is weird and hysterical, like that conversation between Alexa and Google Assistant.
Oh yeah, where they talk to each other.
It was priceless.
That's
I could
pretty
watch that for
awesome.
hours.
What I would say about that is that if you're really interested in the smart home stuff, you might want to start with like an Echo Dot because it's only $50. But if you're really, really into the Apple ecosystem, then it may be worth it for you to spend
Right.
$350 for the
It's
HomePod.
it's a lot of money.
I've also seen a lot of studies that say that Siri just is a worse voice assistant.
Right.
So
But
to
then
have
again,
Siri
I mean,
power this thing, I
well,
think is a big like it.
there's
To me,
supposed
it's
to
a
be
black mark
there's
against it.
supposed to be updates to Siri that make it smarter or more.
It's not going to be
responsive.
overnight. It's
Yeah,
not going
that's
to be
true.
overnight.
It'll
for
take
that.
time.
Yeah,
Siri needs to learn.
right. So I would probably direct people to the Echo Dot. You'd save a lot of money, but you know, if you're really into the music, maybe you want to get the HomePod. I don't think I would spend $350. Like that's not for me.
That music market is probably a good place to target, though, to try to
Yeah.
draw the folks in, and those who want to be, the loyalists, of course, but those who want to be part of the building of the next one, since the Echo's kind of established at this point.
Right.
That device has, I mean, it is leaps and bounds above the rest, but maybe somebody wants to be part of that building process, the innovation, the beta per se.
Yeah,
that might
I do
be an
not.
attraction factor.
I want my
I know,
product
I'm
polished and
done.
finished. I don't need to be
don't want
part
any
of some sort of
surprises.
brave expedition.
Where
Just
Siri
wait till it's
wakes
all
me up in the middle
settled
of the
and
night.
like everything's all gentrified and I'll move in. But
Right.
it's- yeah, at least when it comes to technology.
But yeah, good question.
Very
Hopefully
good.
that was
Great question,
helpful.
yeah.
yeah. And when we get a chance to look at it, we'll have a lot more to say. So.
Couple more quickies to fire up before we're done. DEFCON 1 is inquiring about how facial recognition will work in the dark, and that's something I have not thought of. But you got to think that
Well, I will tell you,
the flash would
there's
probably
the
be
flash.
implemented.
I believe for the iris scanner, it actually does work in the dark because it uses infrared,
There it is.
so it doesn't
okay.
need light.
Yeah.
I say I'd wonder if like you got to
That was for
sneak
the
around.
that was for the Note 7. So I'm not sure.
The
if-
what? The
Yeah.
Note 7.
Yeah, that was that was the last time they had the
the
iris
phone
scanner.
that we were not allowed to speak of.
I'm just saying. I remember I was testing it and I asked about that explicitly, and they were like, "Yeah, it works. Doesn't need light."
I think with facial recognition, usually it's been paired with fingerprint sensor. So it's not like they're going to transition to like only facial recognition. You're always going to have like another thing available.
Yes, yeah, but I think the idea is that it would work. Like facial recognition should just work by
Would
itself.
work like 100% of the time.
I mean, if I'm Apple, I'm gonna make sure that happens, right?
Okay.
Oh God, here's a thought. Datch, she says, Flash, talk about killing your ability to sleep. Think about how bad it is now when you wake up in the middle of the night and want to check what time it is. It's like, oh, that screen's so bright.
and
I
it just
didn't adjust it before. And
flash.
imagine now to open it up, it's got to be like, hey! Oh my God, I can't imagine. That's a fate worse than death.
Really? Man, that's pretty extreme.
When's the last time you woke up and looked at a bright phone in the middle of the night? It's awful.
It is awful.
Pretty much like
and it
every
flashing
day.
in your face.
Super
It's like,
first world problem. It's
I
like
know.
the
The
worst
cops
of the
doing
first
here?
world.
Jeez. I can imagine a lot worse things.
One more. Let's get one more in. A couple more good questions flowing in, but we are running out of time. Brian Chirifi, will carriers subsidize a monstrous iPhone 8 price?
No. At this point, most of these carriers have dropped subsidies,
Yeah.
right? You're gonna be paying in monthly installments. You're gonna be paying a lot more in monthly installments, presumably for that $1,000 phone.
My assumption
there are
too
leasing
is-
plans as well, but they're also it's the same deal. You're paying month to month for this thing, so no, you're not gonna get a subsidy for
They
this.
may do more, like better trade-ins early
Yes,
on.
I
just to
imagine
generate
it's going to
the early
get
sales.
especially here in the U.S. It's going to be really aggressive. All the carriers are looking at this iPhone as sort of a big event where people potentially can switch. So they're all going to be throwing last year and the last 2 years. The carriers have all offered some sort of like, give us your iPhone. We don't care what iPhone it is. We'll give you the new iPhone for free or half off or something, some big promotion.
Okay.
So you can expect something
So
like
look
that.
out for that.
Yeah.
And you're more likely, like early on, to see that kind of stuff.
Yes,
Than if you wait 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months you're probably out of luck. But if that first kind of rush, the first few months, I can imagine the carriers offering all kinds of incentives for you to switch. Again, if you're like an existing user, that might be maybe a little bit more hard pressed for some of these deals, but it's totally possible. So
Yeah. So look out for those early.
yeah.
All right, let's bring it home.
All right. If you liked anything you saw or heard here, check us out on CNET. Our podcast is also available on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, FeedBurner, and Google Play Music. See y'all tomorrow.
Thanks, everybody.
Later.